life, quote unquote. To say that the only way God works is through a life of no challenge, then we have built a glass house that will be shattered by stone. And I always talk about challenge because challenge is an important part in our life, and we'll come to it. Pastor, why so negative this morning? And actually not negative. It is not a fact of being negative, this aspect of being negative, but a more positive one. The alternative to God speaking through personal relationship and through His word, listen to this, is many times through challenge. Have you ever thought about it that way? I think I have brought it before. I don't know if everybody's here at the same point in time on the same Sunday. The alternative to God speaking to us through personal relationship and through His word, which is what you get on a Sunday or whenever there is a service, right? The alternative to that is many times through challenges that we face in our life. You can have challenges because of a punishment, but you can also have challenges for another reason. In my life, it has been filled with certain challenges. Can you say that about your life? I'm talking to somebody here?
Yes.
But your lives as well. And challenges have always fueled me to resolve. The challenges I have faced has taught me unorthodox methods, in other words, strange methods to deal or to resolve what I have gone through in my life. What about you? Does a challenge make you think to solve that challenge? Or do you go about saying, oh, you know what, I can't solve this challenge, or you throw it on somebody else to solve the challenge for you? This challenge is here for a reason, and this, I believe, is sometimes from God. Because He's saying, I need you to be at a different mindset than you are today. This is what God was showing me when it came even to Samson. Alright? So, it has indeed taught me what I will accept in this life and what I will not accept in this life as well. You will know based on your challenge whether how far you could go. There might be a stone that you may not be able to climb. Come on. Everybody here can climb Everest? I don't think I can climb Everest. I know my limit. Huh? Can you climb that? But I don't hear my brother in the house. Good point. It does look small from far away, but it is true that certain spots, when you go up to San Francisco, they have some pointy spots. You'll see, now when they're going up there. Not even with a harness. And so, in challenging, in a challenge, you will know what to accept from this life and what not to accept in this life. This is how I saw it even, as I said, with Samson. Alright? We're getting back onto the point. Samson was faced with challenge. We see clearly on the outer shell of the egg, think of an egg, that definitely God had a message about relationship between man and woman. We saw that, Samson and Delilah, for example. We'll get to Delilah maybe next week, because I sure have something that God will show me in that too. He will show me the obvious, but He will show me something more deeper. But also it goes a little deeper. This, of course, is a crash course of knowledge as we briefly speak about him today. In Judges 14, so we jump into 14 now. So 13 was his birth, 14, Samson falls in love with his first wife. Love, people. Anybody love someone here this morning? Say amen. 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 A Philistine, the woman, the wife, was a Philistine. And back then, or Philistine, however you want to pronounce it, the Philistines had dominion over the Israelites because the Israelites had done evil once more. Oh gosh, everybody know that. And in this account, Samson was having a feast in which 30 Philistines were invited. But if you read the scripture, you will know Samson was head over heels for this woman. Head over heels for this lady. I say woman, I didn't mean it that way. If you know the story, Samson gave them a riddle. This is what the 30 Philistines in the feast. And Samson gave them a riddle. And this riddle, many authors say, was very unfair. It was an unfair riddle, since the riddle was based on a personal encounter Samson had with a lion. The subsequent killing of the lion and then bees forming in the carcass of the lion. For those of you who don't know about the riddle, you gotta check it out. Alright? I want to talk about the riddle, but that's not the point. So I just want to give you an idea of what was going on. So that personal relationship is like you and me, Brother Tom, and I tell you a riddle, and this riddle based on only something I know. You know, it's kind of unfair because you might be able to figure it out. This is what happened here. And either way, you can read about that in chapter 14, because I want to get to the point of trust. And so the Philistines couldn't figure out the riddle, and guess what they did? They threatened Samson's first wife. Right? And so the Philistines, alright, so I said that. So they threatened Samson's first wife. And Samson's wife came to him and wept before him. She cried and begged him to give her the answer to the riddle, which he eventually did. And then she told, of course, the Philistines the answer, the rest of Philistines, the 31s. And of course, that meant what? It meant that Samson lost the whole bet for the riddle. Now, Samson's bet was that he was supposed to, either they would give him 30 garments, fancy garments back then, an expensive thing, or he would have to give them 30 garments each if he had lost the bet. So you can imagine it was an expensive thing for Samson to lose his bet. Alright? And of course, Samson was upset because he had to pay them instead of them paying him because they answered the riddle correctly. But who gave them the answer to the riddle?
The wife.
Huh?
The
The wife. Right? Talking about trust here. Do you think Samson didn't feel upset because his trust was broken? Yes, he would have felt upset. Anybody ever feel, well, maybe not with your wife, but let me not bring back old memories here. Let me talk about, you ever feel like that somebody take away your trust? Somebody broke your trust? Alright, well this is what we're talking about. So Samson had to pay for losing this riddle. And it was like losing a bet, right? So Samson, you know what Samson do? Samson ended up killing another set of Philistines. Right? Took the plunder to pay the 30 Philistines, the original Philistines. Samson smart too, you know. After which, he went back to his father's house, leaving his wife for that period of time. And you know, he left his wife for a period of time. And one can only assume, of course, he was upset and he was angry and at that point in time. And of course, we see here a situation which applies to both abstract nouns. It applies to what love is. Can you hold and feel love? Anybody? You can hold and feel love? You can hold and feel the vessel that has love in it. You can hold and feel your friend, your wife, your family members and so forth, but you really can't tangibly hold love itself. And the same thing with trust as it related to his wife. And he loved his wife. And in the process of loving his wife, he what? Trusted his wife. And we would think that his wife didn't love him by doing what she did. You think so, right? But we know and we see something different. We see that she did this out of fear. Out of fear. Not realizing that maybe, you see, maybe she knew something more. Maybe she knew that Samson was so strong that he could, even if he lost, he could go and find whatever he had to find and give it to the Philistines. And so it was a different story on her side. She saw it differently. And moreover, notably, it does not say that she was wrong either. The scripture doesn't say that. It doesn't say Samson's wife was wrong. It just says Samson left his wife for a period of time, and that was it in that part of the chapter. And in one way, there was betrayal of that trust. And I won't be long this morning. This is just my point for this morning. We won't be long because we have all kind of different things like decoration. Brother Tom helping us with decorations this morning.
Praise the Lord.
But on the other hand, so there's the betrayal of trust. But on the other hand, it is a bit difficult to blame the person for that betrayal of trust. In life, how do we judge that? And God was showing me that part, and I'll come to it. God was speaking to me about how I trust people and how I deal with the betrayal of trust. He was showing me something more than the Samson and Delilah. he was showing me trust and how it applies in my life and what I do, right? And the question is, how do you deal with the betrayal of trust when you go through it in life? I'll tell you how I deal with it. If you betray me, I done with you, partner. I gone. Me ain't dealing up with you again, right? That is how you think about it. That at the nano level, at the split second level, that is how we think about it. And how many of you have experienced a betrayal or betrayal in this life? Doesn't it hurt you to be betrayed? Yes. That is what triggers you to do something. It hurts when somebody you really love. I don't know about you. I just tend to either really love people or tend to cut them off completely if that trust isn't there, it's broken, right? Extremely on both sides. And so it hurts to be betrayed. But more importantly, what do you do when you have been betrayed in this life? You think that next week or next month someone is not going to betray you? Just think about it. We're not being negative here this morning, we're just being realistic. You think that nobody in work that you might meet and you might have a new person come in and work and you learn and you become friends or whatever, and then 2 years on the line, they bad talk you behind and you only hear about it 2 years afterwards. It's happened. And it's hurt more when you hear 10 years afterwards. You say, boy, and I treat that man so good for 10 years. And I didn't know that this was going on. This trust was broken. And so forth. And I hear some comments. I don't know what it is you say, but I hear something. And what do we do with... Have you food to eat? That's it. And mind you, another thing. Right. Yeah. Right. So what do we do when we have been betrayed? Because we can react out of our emotions. I sure have. We can automatically write off someone for the betrayal of trust. Especially when we think that that person should have chosen us over someone else. Ever happened to you? You know how you feel when somebody chooses someone. You never had a friend, and your friend got bad talk the other one. All of them is friend, but they bad talk somebody else. But at the end of the day, and you're telling your friend, you know what now? That isn't really your friend, you know, that is your friend. But you will see that same friend will go back by that one and give them more than they will ever give to you. That ever happened to you? Yeah. But that happened to me in my life, you know. I talking from experience. The betrayal of trust. Because you trust this person, you love this person so much. It may not be, it might be an agape love self. It don't have to be the bad, the more other love. It could be that. And so your emotions pick up, you say, but this is unfair. Why? I'm giving everything. Alright? And so I know, because as I said, I have been in situations like that. In fact, that has not entirely stopped, and I don't expect it to. I don't expect it to now that I see what the Word of God is saying. The Word of God is saying there's no guarantee of trust later on either. This is how it is. Some people will love you forever, some people will hate you forever. Some people will have you in between and they will never decide if they love you or not, and they will take that opportunity to, if they get the chance to talk bad about you, they'll take another opportunity to talk good about you. It's a seesaw and you don't know which way you go. This is how it is sometimes with trust. And, right, so let me speak about my person. So recently, I'm not related to church, right? So it's not related to church or someone here. This had happened to me. And this, of course, I didn't know about the scripture at that point in time. And I was a bit disappointed. I was disappointed and I was hurt. Emotions, right? Emotions was there. And after reading this partial account of Samson, only while writing this message here to bring forth, I realized that God was speaking to me. Sometimes we don't get it right away, but God is still speaking to us, my brothers and sisters. God was speaking to me because I lost all trust for that person after what they did to me. And you can think about this, our relationship with yourself, with someone that you have lost all trust with. And that person was, of course, a very, very close friend to me. And that is why it hurt plenty. It don't hurt if it's somebody far away. All you ever wonder why I don't have friend? I don't like to be hurt. Anybody like to be hurt here? Anybody? I can count how much friends, or should I say close friends I have. Maybe not on 5 fingers, but 10. 10, right? It has gone down to 5. In fact, it has gone down to maybe 3. That's to tell you, close friends. I'm talking about close friends, not friends. Alright? Personal friends. And it hurt on the inside. And that person, I love that person, I trusted that person so much as if that person was my own flesh and blood, was my family. That is how it was. Right? Of course it wasn't a family, but that's how it was. But that person was someone I considered to be my brother. Not my brother Ria. But a brother. Not a brother even in Christ. This person wasn't even a person who wasn't even Christian. This person wasn't Christian, but yes, he was my close friend, a personal friend. And we shared some similar ideas, we shared similar dreams, similar wants. And so much so that I thought that that person was my blood. But maybe that was my error. After that betrayal of trust, I didn't want to be associated with that person anymore. Yeah? But I didn't realize what that person was also going through in this life. I only saw that he broke my trust, that he hurt my feelings. But I didn't see anything beyond me at that point in time. I didn't see his situation in life. I didn't see the challenges he was facing in life. You hear what I'm saying this morning? And when we look at hurt and when we look at trust, because we will go through hurt in this life, if we have not already gone through it. But if we go through hurt, and we don't understand the other side to it, we will always hold on to hurt. It's easier to hold on to hurt if you only think about yourself. And I was thinking about myself. What I was being? Selfish. Not that that person might not have done anything wrong, you know, but I was only thinking about myself. Right? And that's maybe how Samson was thinking about when it comes to his wife. Samson didn't realize that his wife actually or probably protected him from dying that day. Did you think about it that way? Because all he probably, at that point in time was thinking, boy, she rat him out. She rat him out, boy. Look at what she do, man. But she was literally weeping. And I thought that weeping, I get that impression from previous time because I did not know the word of God. I thought that weeping was because she wanted to manipulate him. But in this case, this was not Delilah, this was his first wife. And his first wife, apparently, they did love each other. They did. If you look at the word of God, you will see that they did love each other in a different way than when Samson loved Delilah. But we'll get to Delilah, as I said, later on. So this is what I saw. This is what, sorry, not me. I didn't see it. God showed me it. This is what God showed me. That trust was something. If I didn't understand the breaking of that trust, I would never probably be able to get over the hurt. And what went on. This is what was going on here. So God was showing me something to share with you this morning. So I hope I'm speaking to somebody here this morning. And so I'm sure you all know that the building of trust can take a lifetime to do, but the destruction of trust can take a few seconds to happen. You could love somebody for your whole life and then one time, and this is what happens sometimes, it causes divorce. You love somebody for your whole entire life, and then one day, one slippage, being unfaithful, and all that trust is gone. And all we feel is the hurt and the pain of what happened. But we don't understand what was happening on the other side a long time ago. You know, even sometimes me, I'm guilty. I don't spend enough time with my wife. And yet, I could see that. But if I couldn't see that, I didn't spend time with my wife. If, God forbid, something happened outside there, I would have been bitter, upset, lost trust, all these different things. Not that you will never lose trust, but how you get it here, how it affects you here, is based on whether you see it as you or you see it in the person's aspect as well this morning. And sometimes knowing the other side, sometimes it gives you comfort. it gives you the opportunity to sometimes make things right up here.
Yes.
Up here and in here. Because if it's in here all the time, I don't know how you can really help someone else in here all the time. God was talking about me. If I have something in here, right, about this particular person. All right? And so I didn't see the other side of the story. So you see, while I saw the person being wrong to betray me, I now realize that I was wrong to trust that person so much in the first place. Because the person was showing the signs, everything. But, you know, I just knew that he was similar to me. He had a few things. And I assumed that his whole life was the same to me. And so that's why I thought he was my brother. So you'll say, well, that's no fault of your own. Technically, it could be a fault of my own. Because I assumed things I shouldn't have assumed. I should have remembered the fact that he is not of my religion. I should have, but I didn't at that point in time. So I based it on trust, selecting certain things and rejecting certain things. I was making myself in a position that could have been hurt. If you look at it, so it's a different angle now, right? And so I trusted him based on some things rather than all things. I removed the idea that we had our differences. And the build-up of great disappointments is not understanding this in life. That you will meet someone and we will be similar. All of us are similar, but we are not the same. I might disappoint you and you might disappoint me. Imagine that. With brothers and sisters in the Lord, you know, this is what the church I don't think they preach this in the church. So when one person disappoints in the church, they say, here what? Me coming back to that church. That man squandered some money, so this whole church bad because of that. This is what happens. This is what happens. Because the trust is based not really on absolute knowledge of what's given us, but an assumption that we make. And we have to be careful about the assumptions that we make. That's what I realized. You don't have to take it, but I realized that this morning. Alright? But God was, of course, showing me certain things as well. And so I say the build-up of disappointments is not understanding this. There is no tablet you can give someone that will make them loyal to you forever. I wish there was. You can give them a tablet. You don't say you can go by the OBA lady and the OBA lady will do something and they give the man you want to get married to, let them drink it and they will love you forever. Love potion. Love potion. Maybe even none of that.
Amen.
Maybe because I'm a Christian, maybe even none of that, but I don't feel like it will work on me neither. That will work on me neither. Not when you have, well, the word of God also showed you something as well too. And so long story short, God was showing me that even with trust, I had to be careful with how I interpreted trust and what I expected out of trust. Because you will expect the world sometimes. Nobody ever come out